Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the universe. My name is Ilham Devara Hendar Putra. Now, allow me to express my gratitude from my deepest heart to the Honorable Mrs. Esti Kurniasih, S.Pd, M.Pd, as my advisor of seminar on research proposal. To the examiners, Mr. Fauris Zuhri, S.Pd, M.Hum, and Mr. Dr. Fahri, M.A, for giving me this valuable chance so that I can present my research proposal. Thank you for this exclusive opportunity to deliver my presentation under the title Critical Thinking Analysis on EFL Students' Rhetorical Summary in Reading for Research course. First of all, background of the study. Critical thinking has the role as the core skill to establish students' principles in obtaining new knowledge. Experts believe this skill will lead students to be more advanced critical readers in this very modern era of 21st century. While rhetorical summary is a highly structured summary to explore students' critical thinking, this is the most significant evidence of the strong connection between reading and writing, which requires a lot of psychological and metacognitive processing towards EFL students. As we can see, the major problem of this topic is on December 3rd, 2019 by PISA result, or Program for International Student Assessment, which released an alarming fact that Indonesian students' reading rank had dropped to 72nd out of 77 countries. Unfortunately, this gradual decreasing number of students' reading performance reveals that this skill has become a crucial part of being raised to accomplish both students' learning process and the country's educational development. Considering several shreds of evidence that prove the Indonesian EFL students' lack of interest in reading will lead them to poor critical thinking skills, the researcher proposes this study on exploring the Indonesian EFL students' critical thinking skills through rhetorical summary writing. As a result, the following are the formulated research questions. The first one, how is the EFL students' critical thinking explored in their rhetorical summary writing? The second one, how do the EFL students use their critical thinking in developing their rhetorical summary writing? Next, moving on to the review of related literature. In recent decades, the 21st Century Skill Alliance has established critical thinking as one of several skills for every level of education. As a result, there are several experts' ideas about critical thinking. First, in essence, critical thinking skill is a process into scientific understanding and insight, which includes analyzing principles and evidence as an outcome of student success. This is from an analytical position, then challenging this data in the context of our own beliefs, perceptions, and personal ideology. Second, this skill will develop students' inside-out comprehension of certain issue, quality and confrontation, ideas among peers, and options to create various ways to deal with solutions. This is the importance of critical thinking from the formal definition. Third, critical thinking requires more than one way of looking at a problem. It means taking an assertion, an argument, or a policy and looking at all the positive and all the negative things towards a particular issue. According to Peter Facioni in his research, critical thinking is a deliberate human phenomenon and goes over the classroom situation. Here are the set of criterions which characterize critical thinkers. The first one, curiosity, efficiency, knowledgeable, understandable, confidence, unbiased, certainty, integrity, self-reliance, advisability, transparency, and the last one is responsiveness. Regarding several criterions of critical thinking, here the researcher presents rhetorical summary as the notable strategy. Firstly, according to Woodward 2009, a rhetorical summary is a perfectly organized paragraph that consists of 4 sentences which documents a written discourse unit's core components. Secondly, alongside the imrat, introduction, methods, results, and discussion. This is the organization for scientific articles. The current investigation of rhetorical summary can be utilized as rules while creating both famous and scientific writing. In short, this type of summary could be thought of by students as a succinct depiction of how a particular text both states as well as implies. As previously proposed by Woodworth, there are 4 authentic structures of a rhetorical summary as written in the example. Here is the example of rhetorical summary. The very first sentence contains name of the author, category, the subject of the research, the year in parenthesis, the verb, which is rhetorically active, as well as that section comprising the main claim in the text. The second sentence provides a description, generally in chronological order, or how the author construct and support the assertion. The third sentence gives the details of the explicable objectives of the author preceded by a phrase in order to. The fourth sentence generates a specification of the targeted readers and also the interrelation of the targeted readers and also the interrelation of the author acknowledges to the audience. Now, moving on to the research methodology. The researcher uses descriptive qualitative research as the research design because it is used to discover more about the student's performance, new ideas, or recognizing complicated issues. Therefore, it is very compatible with this research since it is focused on EFL students' critical thinking ability in writing their rhetorical summary. The researcher decides the subjects because they must accomplish their task of writing a rhetorical summary for this compulsory course, which means each individual writes a rhetorical summary in their critical thinking way. This study will be conducted in this setting because in this course, students are obliged to read critically in the area of research. On top of that, having a critical thinking way will bring benefits, especially for the students nowadays. Then, the data in this research will be obtained from the students' responses based on the first and the second formulated research questions. On that account, the data and its source of data will automatically be variative, such as documents, questionnaires, and in-depth interview. The researcher selects 3 instruments, 2 compulsory instruments and 1 complementary instrument, which are critical thinking rubrics, open-ended questionnaires, and interview guidelines. After collecting the task, the researcher will proceed to analyze using the critical thinking rubric. After that, the researcher will deliver questionnaires which consist of questions regarding how the students utilize their critical thinking in composing their rhetorical summary writing. Next, data analysis proposed by Ari et al. As the first stage, to answer the first research question, the researcher will read the documents, which are the students' rhetorical summary writing results repeatedly. Meanwhile, to find the answer to the second research question, the researcher will familiarize and organize responses from the questionnaire and results from the interview by arranging the files in a good order to make them quickly comprehended. In the second stage, to find the answers to the first research question, the researcher will pair the students' rhetorical summary results with a critical thinking rubric. Secondly, the researcher will categorize the questionnaire's responses and the interview results by highlighting certain significant information and reduce any unnecessary data. In the final stage, the researcher will interpret and represent the student's rhetorical summary result, which has been familiarized and coded through descriptions. In the same way, to answer their second research question, an in-depth overview on how the EFL students use their critical thinking in developing their rhetorical summary writing will be conducted. Lastly, to close my presentation, as a human being, I realize that mistakes are inevitable. I do apologize to all of you. Thank you for your best attention, and I will be happy to hear your feedbacks. Thanks in advance. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.